Enough is enough.
Hey guys, welcome back to the Indie Wrestling Corner with another episode of Under the Ropes. I'm your host as always, the queen of the indies, Tiffany. And today, I feel like I can't even I can't match up to like what you do. Like I just feel when I get like ring announcers on, I feel like I have no absolute way of like introducing you guys. I can't
Please.
I can't even light a torch.
Give me your best shot. Give me your best shot. Go ahead.
We have my good friend over here, Rich Palladino. How are you?
I'm good. No
Good.
need for any build-up. I'm just here to talk wrestling with you, my friend. That's all.
Yes. No, I'm really excited. So actually, I think it's been a while since like I've had somebody that's like ring announce on the channel. We've had Shane Fair on. We've had Bryce, Chad Spectacular from H2O. We've had a couple of ring announces on here, which is kind of cool. So the fan base likes a little bit of everything. It's not just like I always say, the spiel that I give everybody. If you're new to the channel, here I interview everything independent wrestling, whether it's wrestlers, promoters, referees, ring announcers, commentary, all that fun stuff behind the stage, photographers, all that good shit. So pretty much, anything independent wrestling, I got you covered. So if you guys got any questions for Rich, please feel free, drop them into the chat. I'm sure he'll be more than happy to answer any of your questions. So also please hit that like button, hit the share button, get some people in here. We can party it up. We're going to get ready. There's a lot of great wrestling coming up. So I'm really excited about that. So we're going to learn a little bit about you. So we're going to go like back. I like to do that. So, learn a little history about you. What did you grow up like watching? Who are some of your favorite wrestlers? That fun stuff.
So I'm probably one of the oldest guests you've had on here. And my fandom goes back to when I was probably 8 years old. So I'm 52 years old. I grew up watching wrestling in the late 70s. So Bruno and Backlund were like my guys. Backlund was the champion. Bruno was the somewhat retired special attraction, now a commentator kind of guy. Mm-hmm. But I grew up watching, Backlund, Bruno, Ivan Koloff, Superstar Billy Graham, Ivan Putski, Chief Jay Strongbow. So all those old names that you hear of from when I say when wrestling was wrestling, it wasn't marquee matches. Mm-hmm. It was squash matches on TV because that's how they got the fans into the arenas. It was a much different era. It's my favorite era of wrestling. So that's how far back I go. I was just flipping the channels and I saw Captain Lou Albano and Bulldog Brower like just mauling some guy with a chair. And I was like, oh yeah, this is my future. This is my life. Sad but true, but yeah.
I love it. I see people in the chat. What's up? We see Guardian of Chaos. How are you? He goes, Rich is a class personified. Joseph's in the chat. He goes, what's up, Rich? So
yeah,
I love it.
What's up, guys?
Thanks for joining us.
Yeah,
it's crazy to watch the evolvement. I'm not, too far behind you. I know I look like I'm probably in my 20s. I'm not.
You do.
I'm not. I'm gonna be 40 this year. So
you what?
I'm gonna be 40. Like, this is scary.
I honestly never would have guessed. Honest to God.
I got that baby face, which is good. So,
yeah.
The big 4-0 is this year, so it's pretty crazy. So I get you. I'd just like to go back and like I remember watching some stuff with like my dad and the old stuff and the VHS tapes of like even like before my time. It's pretty some interesting stuff, and to watch wrestling evolve. So
you're the queen of the indies, and I'm the king of the VHS tape because I think my mom bought me my first VCR in like 1985, and I recorded every friggin' show.
Oh wow!
Like until VCRs just became obsolete. So you didn't have a Peacock, WWE Network, whatever it is. You didn't have YouTube. That was it. That's how you watched wrestling. It was crazy back then. I mean, and you couldn't wait to see it again. Now it's like we get so spoiled, and you go on down these rabbit holes on YouTube. You start searching out one thing or one promotion, and then you're up for like 5-6 hours just watching everything else that's affiliated with it.
I know. Oh,
It's a great time to be alive.
It is. Man, we had MLJ on a couple of months ago, and he was talking about his VHS collection with us. Like, that was a fun chat with him as well, and we're like, man, like all the VHS tapes that he has, it's nuts. So
I have nothing but love for MLJ, though. By the way,
he's great.
He's the man. I'll just deviate several times. I think it's probably my level of ADD, but we were together in New Orleans, and oh my God, I mean, we just had such a blast. And we always run into each other, and sometimes he'll come up here, like for Beyond shows, and just hang out and stuff. It's the best. I'm so happy that he's, getting so much recognition and stuff out there, and just being MLJ. So big shout out to MLJ. So.
Yeah, it's cool. Like, I've seen him too, just hanging out, like not doing anything. He's just hanging out, and it's a fun experience. Like, even like I'll just come up to him, or like I'll just chat with him, and it's really cool because at the end of the day, we're all fans, right? We're all fans of wrestling.
We wouldn't be doing what we're doing if we weren't.
Absolutely. So. Prince is in the chat. He goes, Rich, one of my favorite announcers in the business today.
I appreciate that. Thank you.
All the love. So, we're gonna learn a little bit about you. Some people may know you, some people may not know you. So I'd love to ask about, like how you started and got involved in the business.
Sure. So I always wanted to be in the business one way or another. When I was in high school, I thought I wanted to become a professional wrestler, and I actually met Mario Mancini and Paul Roma at a WWF show at my high school in Reading, Massachusetts. And I said, I want to be a wrestler. And they gave me the number to a gym called Passerio's Quest. I want to say it was in Milford, Connecticut. And I think Tony Altamore, who was one half of the Sicilians with Lou Albano way back in the day, before I even started watching, he was like training guys out of that facility. And I remember going home and telling my mom that I found a wrestling school, not even knowing that Killer Kowalski's school was 20 minutes from where I lived. But she needed to drive me to Connecticut because I was going to learn to be a pro wrestler. And then when she told me how far Milford was and that she didn't like even driving on a highway, there was no way I was going to be driven to Connecticut to learn how to wrestle by Paul Roma, Mario Mancini, Tony Altamore, anybody. I was always a big kid in high school. Played high school football, not very athletic. I was a lineman, so I was good at like pushing people and blocking people. But I knew I never had the physical tools to actually do this, but I knew that I could be an announcer one way, shape, or form. And that was the goal from, I guess day two. Day one, I wanted to be a wrestler, and day two, and I realized, I don't look like those guys on TV. I always used to imitate the ring announcers. Howard Finkel, who I became really good friends with, later in life. But, Gary Capetta, who I'm still friends with to this day, and the late, great Joe McHugh, who used to be like the Saturday morning ring announcer on Championship Wrestling. That looked like the coolest job ever. I always thought that commentary was too much work. And I did commentary for Chaotic for close to 20 years there. I just recently stopped doing commentary there, but I always thought, hey, you get to be a big part of the show. You're not the focal point, but you're an integral part of the overall presentation. So ring announcing became my thing. That was my goal. One way or another, I was going to become a ring announcer. And I met a guy that had run one show in Lowell, Massachusetts. So in 1991, he ran this one show. It was like a super indie. And unfortunately, it was not attended very well. But I mean, I'm talking guys like Paul Orndorff, Nikolai Volkov, Kamala, Savio Vega doing the TNT gimmick from Puerto Rico, Stan Lane and Jim Cornette, Nikita Koloff, like every unsigned at the time professional wrestler was on this show. And I went to the show as a fan. I ended up meeting the guy in the same building in Lowell, Massachusetts, the old Lowell Memorial Auditorium, for a WWF house show like a month or two later. And I remembered this guy because he was one of like 5 ring announcers that night. So picture me sitting in the front row. I was, I don't know, 22 years old. All I wanted to do was be a ring announcer. And they were just shuffling guys. Nobody wanted to be the ring announcer. And I'm like, oh my God, I was dying. So I said, oh, aren't you the ring announcer from that AWF? And he's like, no, I actually own the company. Oh, wow. That was all I needed to hear. I sold myself to him. Hey, I've never done this, but big fan of the sport, yada, yada, yada. He said, all right, make me an audio cassette. So wrap your heads around that, kids. Like an actual audio cassette. And I did. My dad, to this day, like still plays music. And I brought like a little tape recorder and a cassette. And he had the microphones and the speakers all set up from one of his gigs. He's in music. And I just got on the microphone, started introducing names. I gave it to that guy. He's like, okay, you're hired. Wow. Fantastic. I've already rambled long enough, but that guy introduced me to the late Boston bad boy, Tony Rumble, my mentor, who broke me into the business in 1993 was my first live show. But Tony and I ended up doing commentary in a studio in Maine for that same show that I was sitting in the front row for. Wow. So that was weird. Like doing play-by-play for a show, and I could see myself in my long hair, my mullet, you know. I could see myself in the front row, and I was like, and I've grown up watching Tony on TV on like Savoldi's ICW and all that. And that's how I got in. Tony and I kept in touch from the time we did the studio work till over a year later, almost a year and a half later, when he ran his first live show in Wakefield, Massachusetts, October 23rd, 1993. Never forget your first. Yeah. And he called me and said, you want to be my ring announcer? I was like, yeah, absolutely. I didn't even ask about pay or nothing. I was just like, I literally had bought a tuxedo that the other guy who never ended up running another show, that guy from the AWF, bought me a tuxedo. He was supposedly taking me to Puerto Rico for some shows that also never happened. So I had a tux. I already looked the part. Now I needed to act the part. And that's how the journey began over 28 years ago. Oh my God, kill me.
Oh my goodness. We were just like talking about this even with Steve Mack last night about just in general that here it is. He's celebrating 25 years of wrestling. And he's got his show this Saturday, which is crazy. I can't wait to go down there, I should say, to Jersey. Yeah. So it's going to be, it's interesting. And like I said, I brought you up and he was like, I know Rich, tell him I said hi. He was like,
he is just the most wonderful human being. I used to see him regularly, him and Moff, when we were bringing the Hit Squad in for Beyond. And I was just like I was like in awe because I was like such a fan from all their prior work. And now I actually got to introduce them. I remember a combined weight of 606 pounds, and he would always like look at the camera and like shape out like 606 with his finger and stuff, and do the whole Bed-Stuy, do or die, and he'd be doing all the stuff in front of me. And I'm still friends with both of those guys to this day, so nothing but love for Mac and Moff.
Great. Yeah, we were talking about that. We were talking about him throwing people into the walls.
Oh yeah, I was at Aurora in Providence. Yeah, he threw. Yeah, it left a sizable hole, and somebody else on the roster, thank God, their shoot job, as we like to call it, was in like carpentry and whatnot, and came over and like patched up the wall like the next day. Yeah. Love you, Steve. Love him. Absolutely love him.
It was a fun chat with him. He was telling a lot of stories because I've done a previous interview with him before, and I was like, all right, like, you know, we're gonna go a little different this interview. I was like, but I was like, shoot, I was like, there was DM Stevens, the ref. He was telling me a story about, you know, the wall throwing, that he was sending me clips, and then we were tweeting at Steve before the podcast, so we had to bring this up yesterday. We got into a whole story about it. He was talking about Beyond, and he was telling about that and like all these amazing moments on the podcast yesterday. So
that's awesome.
I love that a lot of people that have come onto this podcast, obviously you guys have all pretty much like come in contact with each other mostly, you know, so it's fun. So, and then like
it's hard for me not to come in contact with a lot of these people because 28 years and it's like, you know, it's like every show I do, no matter where it is ends up being some kind of reunion. There's always somebody that I haven't seen for a long time or hadn't seen in a long time, or whenever I get out of my comfort zone and I go down to do some shows in Jersey or New York or Philly or wherever, that's usually when I run into like a lot of the people that I used to just see that would come up here occasionally. Right. So it's the universal language of pro wrestling that kind of keeps us all together, which is pretty friggin' awesome. I actually like what I just said there. I like
Clip
that.
Clip that. Put it on a poster.
Swear to God, yeah. I should get into marketing now.
There you go.
Hang up the microphone and, just start getting into marketing and stuff.
There you go. There you go. Yeah. So, I mean, you're pretty much the voice of IWTV nowadays. That we can pretty much agree on that. So, I mean, I would love, like, maybe some major moments, like captured here. Is there anything like that comes to mind that were just massive moments for you?
Oh, man. IWTV or in general?
IWTV.
Oh, my God. Well, I mean, the funny thing is I get asked a lot, too, like, what was your favorite match? What was the best match you ever announced? Stuff like that. 28 years, and I do upwards of like 80, 90, 100 shows a year. And each show has anywhere from 7 or 8 to 12 or 15 matches on it. It's hard to remember, but I mean, some crazy moments though. I mean, especially in Beyond, like just some of the stuff that we've done with barbed wire and, I know David Starr and Joey Janela, like on one of our New Year's Eve shows, just had like a complete bloodbath of a barbed, like no ropes barbed wire match. I mean, just all these things that I've seen and done, or like the Lucha Brothers, like coming up to Beyond and wrestling LAX or Santana and Ortiz and just tearing the place down to the point where people were throwing money in the ring. It was the first time I'd been on a live show where the fans, and you're starting to see a little bit more of that now. Yeah. This was like more money than I had ever seen, like thrown in a ring, just because the people appreciated the performance, their athleticism, just story that they told in that ring for 15 or 20 minutes. Those are a couple that just stand out to me. Right. I think more about the things that I've done on IWTV from even like this past summer, being asked to ring announce the IWTV 100 special from Matt Tremont's H2O Wrestling School down in Williamstown, New Jersey, in the middle of the summer with no air conditioning.
Oh, I was there. I feel you.
Right?
I'm always there.
Were you wearing a tuxedo too?
No. I was like, dying in the back.
Oh my God. And everybody's like, you don't have to. I'm like, no, it's the only way I know. People are like, you don't have to. If you don't want to dress, I'm like, it's the only way I know. Because, and I've said this before, and it's, I should trademark it, but that's my level of respect that I have for this industry, is that that is the only way I will perform, unless I'm asked not to for whatever other reasons. Drew Gulak, when he was regularly working for Beyond, thought it would be very Beyondish of me to just ring announce in a Beyond hoodie. And a t-shirt and jeans. And I look back at that show and it felt, and now even more so looks so awkward. It's like now, it's like somebody once tweeted that seeing Rich Palladino not in a tuxedo is like a unicorn sighting. It's just, that's just my level of respect. That's the only way that I will ever present myself on shows, whether it's 125 degrees in that building like it was that day. I must have sweat off 5 or 6 pounds. It was insane. But again, just talking about the things that I've done on IWTV, I mean, I've seen a lot of crazy shit in 28 years. But I dare say a lot of those IWTV world title changes, from the lineage to back when it was the Powerbomb TV title, I got to announce so many of those, and I'm truly blessed to be able to have that on my resume. So it's been awesome. I love working for IWTV. I can't implore people enough to subscribe, because there's so much content on there, so much great stuff, and you're seeing the future of our our business, from all corners, literally all corners of the globe, with a number of promotions on there. So there's my plug for IWTV. Yeah, all right, Jerry, that's for you. But no, it's been awesome. I'm truly blessed to be a part of it.
Yeah, no, it's so great. I love it. Again, $10 a month. You can't go wrong with that, with everything. And like, if you can't capture something live, then you could go back. Like today, like I was going back and I was like, okay, I gotta go watch one of Marcus Matters' match. I was like, let me go on here, and like I was on my treadmill and I'm like, okay, cool. I was like not gonna watch Marcus, and like this is awesome. So if you don't have IWTV, go get it. It's $10. Like, can't go wrong with all the wrestling that's out there.
Oh my God, yeah. I mean, just that my face is on there every week. It's pretty it's pretty scary. And now with a lot of the older Beyonds and WWR stuff on Pluto, that's one of my favorite things. Like, I'll put on the Pluto channel here at home, and half of the time I'll literally flip it on. I'm like, oh, there I am. That's pretty cool. I haven't got any residual checks. I'm looking. I haven't got any residual checks from Pluto yet, but yeah, I mean, again, every day I wake up and I'm like, I am truly blessed to be living my life's dream for as long as I have, still be doing it and still be somewhat relevant to the business.
That's inspiring. It really is. So let me give some love in the chat. Captain Dave's in the chat. What's up? Dave Russell's in the chat. He says hello. Good Cop Bad Cop's got a question for you. This is a thing on this podcast, just so you know. He does anagrams. So he goes, with Rich Palladino being an anagram of paranoid chill, what gives you the chills or spooks you out?
Okay. There's some big words in there that I couldn't even define with my college degree. So what spooks me or freaks me out? Yeah. I guess things that are like outside of wrestling, like real life shit that I'm not a big fan of.
So unless maybe it is wrestling.
Okay. Well, I'm thinking outside of wrestling.
Okay.
Unless I'm not understanding the question properly.
No, it's fine. He didn't be specific.
Okay, so I'll take it to real life, which is probably 8% of my life, because the other 92 is definitely taken up by wrestling, if not more. Things that freak me out and spook me out. I'm not a fan of amusement park rides.
Okay, I'm with you on that one.
Yeah, not a big fan of like heights or bungee jumping or jumping out of an airplane. None of that stuff would ever work with me. So that freaks me out. Bugs don't, but small rodents kind of do. And I'm trying to think what freaks me out in wrestling. Getting too close to the action kind of freaks me out a little bit. I've seen some pretty horrific things in 28 years. So I don't know. Again, those are a lot of big words in that question, but there's a little more to the Rich Palladino, like the man, I guess. So, I mean, amusement park rides, not my jam.
I'm with you on that. I can't. I'm scared shit. I don't like flying, but I'll do it, but I don't like it because I'm scared of heights. And
I honestly never had gone on a roller coaster until I was in high school.
Oh my God. Yeah, I'm scared. No, I can't do it anymore. And the older I get, the worse it gets. But like, because that's another thing, but no.
I'll tell you though, it was like one of those class trips. There's Canopy Lake Park in Salem, New Hampshire. So it was like one of those like school bus trips. And I just remember the girl that I had the biggest crush on was like there, and she asked me to go on the roller coaster with her. And I was like, oh, well, shit, I can't get out of this now. And I ended up going twice, and then probably took a little bit of a sabbatical from
life.
Yeah. I just don't. I don't like the feeling of having no control.
Yeah,
so that's
I get it.
I'm the guy that if they take the picture like on the flume when it's coming down, I'm the guy. Everybody else like this, and I'm the guy holding on to the bar in front of me, like, no, make it stop. So
you're not the only one. Trust me.
No.
You're not. There's a lot of us out there.
But thanks for that question. Thanks for making me think out loud.
Much love.
Yeah.
Chad's in the chat. He goes, "What's up, Rich?" He's like, "I'm good, thank you, Chad." Jay's in the chat. He goes, "I'm here. Do you have any regrets bringing you know who to Chaotic after what happened in said Resent events?"
So, you know who, of course, being our new director of wrestling operations for Chaotic Wrestling, JT Dunn, who, yes, I did somewhat single-handedly bring into Chaotic, I want to say back in 2016-ish. I mean, I'll say this. I mean, JT Dunn has done a lot for Chaotic Wrestling. 3-time champion. The only wrestler I think I've ever felt the need to punch in the face. I mean, do I have regrets? I have regrets now. We have a show this Friday night. I'm assuming that I'm ring announcing Friday night.
Yeah, what's up with that? Like,
so when JT wrestled Chase Del Monte for control of the company, it was just, I don't know, emotion kind of took over. And I'm never one to I never like getting involved in wrestling. And I liked, and I say that, but then I look at the past like 6 or 8 months, and I got a little ahead of myself and kind of threw a punch at JT Dunn, and he still ended up winning the match. So that shows you something about the ferocity of my right hand. I got kicked in the midsection by Max Caster on a Beyond Uncharted Territory a few months ago. What else has happened to me? I don't know. I've been far more involved than I just want to be the ring announcer. So that night I crossed the line and I was relieved of my duties at our show last month in Watertown. You were there. I was there with Tuxedo and told, oh, we don't need you tonight. JT brought his own personal ring announcer. I may or may not have had a few Bud Lights that night and got into that little verbal joust with him, and he hired me back. So tomorrow will be the first show that we've done, because our last one got snowed out because of the friggin' blizzard we had up here. So I'm hoping that when I show up in Lexington on Friday night with my tuxedo, that I will be back in the ring. It's been 2 months since I've announced the Chaotic show, which is really weird. And the fact that I went to Watertown and didn't even get paid, and was relieved of my duties for the night doesn't set too well. So I guess to answer Jay's question, now I have some regrets about bringing JT Dunn, aka you know who, to Chaotic Wrestling, but you know me, I'll fly the straight and narrow and do my job on Friday night if I'm allowed to do so.
The disrespect, throw you out of the venue, like
kicked me out.
Had him thrown out. Security threw him out. Like, out of control.
It's complete BS.
Complete out of control.
Yes.
But yeah, so you know, I mean, I have no words. So I hope to see you ring announcing on Friday. Like,
me too.
You know,
I don't know if that other kid's gonna be there. I don't know.
Yeah,
George
I don't know. Like, if you guys want to tweet at JT and like ask him, like, you know,
yeah,
I'm all for it. Like on Twitter and get his ass into the chat. You know, so you know, we're gonna talk about some other stuff too. So it's like, you know, just some of the names. Again, you brought up Beyond. You know, you work for Chaotic, Limitless. I mean, again, like the list is endless of all the promotions that you have worked for. You know, but maybe you want to give us like a little bit, you know, anything that comes to mind about like some of, you know, these amazing promotions that you work for.
Yeah, I mean, you hit the nail on the head. Those 3 are my priority. And you could throw in WWR Plus, which is Beyond's Women's Plus organization as well. But anything under the Beyond, Limitless, and Chaotic banner are my top 3 priorities. And that's no disrespect to any other promotion that I work for, but it's a matter of my availability. Right. Like I said earlier, you know, the elusive goal is 100 shows in a year. And this may be the year I hit it, because I'm averaging about 10 a month right now, especially with the weekly, you know, the Uncharted Territory series that we did to close out 2021. And now we've got Wrestling Open every Thursday night, live on IWTV, every Thursday night at 8 p.m. from the White Eagle in Worcester. But I want to hit that 100. I want to say 96 or 98 in 2019. And then that stupid pandemic hit and killed everything for me. But I mean, those are the 3 that I work for the most. You know, probably upwards of 20 something shows for Chaotic. Limitless is more of a monthly thing, but that's become one of my favorite places to go. And then Beyond, obviously with weekly shows, you know, probably 50, 60 shows, and then I fill in the rest.
Right.
Those are my priorities. And I'm so fortunate because, Chaotic has turned out so many big names, whether it be in WWE, AEW, wherever, beyond so many same story. And Limitless is just like the best wrestling the state of Maine has ever had.
Yeah.
And just to have been invited to be a part of that by the promoter, Randy Carver. It's just the people are so welcoming to me there. And I got to address the crowd a couple months ago. It was like on my actual anniversary of my pro wrestling debut. And, and I told the fans, they just make me feel so comfortable. They chant my name, they buy my shirts, which is also nice too. It's one of my favorite places to be. So those are my top 3 priorities. But I mean, I dare say I've worked for just about every independent promotion throughout New England for the past 28 years. And I still get requests when their regular announcer can't be there. And I'm always happy to fill in as long as I don't have another booking, like I said, for those 3. But it's just been a hell of a ride. And, it's just the friendships I've made and the bonds that I've made through that whole universal language of pro wrestling that I quoted earlier. It's just, it's honestly like one of the biggest parts of my life. So I'm very passionate about what I do. I take what I do very seriously, and I'm just honored to be a part of it. So
that's awesome. I still got to make my way. Actually, Chaotic was the first time that I was in Massachusetts. I'm usually, I live in New York, so I've always been homebred here with promotions. And then, sure. I venture out between Jersey and Pennsylvania. I've gone to a bunch of promotions. And I was supposed to come up for Wrestleville, and then I got sick, and I was very upset because it was like, okay, like here I am, I'm big, advocate for H2O. And, I've been dying. I was like, this is great. I was like, they're going to go off to Beyond, and Limitless is coming down. I was like, this is the 2 bucket list promotions that I've been dying to go to. So that's still on my bucket list. This is happening this year. I don't care. So really looking forward to that. I want to come up to Wrestle Open, and, if anybody's not watching Wrestle Open, you should be, because I love the fact that I'm finding a whole bunch of names that I wasn't even aware of. And now like I've become like massive fans of, like Kylan King, who's coming on this podcast in a couple of weeks, so you guys know. So it's really cool to see like even like people like Marcus Matters finally break out over there, and like I love Alec Price, and like the names are just endless over there. Main events up there, my boys, like it's really cool.
It's such a unique concept too. I mean, it's so different because you're, like you said, you're seeing a lot of newer names that you may not be familiar with. But you will be over time. And, the concept of it being Wrestling Open is you don't know who's going to be there. Or we'll tell you who's going to be there, but you don't know what the matchups are.
Right. I like that.
The 10-minute time limit is really making everybody step up their game.
Right.
Nobody wants to end with a draw. It's like kissing your sister or whatever. Nobody wants to go home not winning. So the one fall 10-minute time limit thing is a really cool concept, which is something that I grew up on. So I absolutely love it. Our main event is 20 minutes long, but it's something different. And it's making some of these newer names and newer faces, step up and try and get the job done in 10 minutes. And it's something special. And I can't recommend it enough. And we've seen the audience grow from the first week. I think we're 5 episodes in now, and, Drew Cordero says we're going to do Wrestling Open every Thursday night until the end of time. So
awesome.
Which is great because it gets me out of the house. So, but I mean, if you're going to do this tour, you should come up on a Thursday.
I know.
And then Chaotic's usually on Friday.
Mm-hmm.
Actually, February 24th, 25th, 26th could be your opportunity because Limitless is in Yarmouth, Maine on the 26th. So you could do all 3.
Oh my God. This month is trying to kill me. I'm going to work something out. It might not be this month because I think I'm obligated on those dates already. The joy of being the queen. Saying. The queen of the indies is all over the place. It feels awful when she can't appear at other places.
I get it.
You know how it is. But I mean, I'll be up at Chaotic, and then I'm going down to Titan on this weekend. And then I got the joy of GCW weekend next weekend with H2O. Oh, it's a mess. Like, it's a good time to be a
awesome.
wrestling fan, though. Let me get some love into this chat because I see things being said in here. David Russell said, Rich, worst experience at a show when the mic goes off and you have to talk over the mic.
Oh, that, we had, we had a show for Beyond, I think it was American Rana. And it was actually JT Dunn, Dijak, now T-Bar in WWE, and I want to say Chris Dickinson. Some kind of triple threat match. It ended up in the balcony at Fett Music, and a bottle of water may have been thrown at some point and kind of short-circuited the audio board. So I remember that the mic wasn't working after that match, and I had to do it freestyle. But when that happens, and it's happened at Limitless a couple times, we've had some microphone malfunctions there. And that's where I talk about how respectful like these fans are, because, you know, I'll have them like play along with me. They know the following contest schedule for one fall. I let them yell that out, and they love yelling the wrestlers' names too. So it's a horrible experience.
Right.
I will say, there was a Beyond show years ago, and the mic cut out during introductions, and it was JT Dunn against Michael Elgin. And Elgin like said, if that mic cuts out during my intro, like he made it very audible for the whole crowd. He goes, I'm going to kick your ass. And of course it didn't work. And I just hightailed it right out of the ring and literally ran up to the balcony. So it is pretty terrifying. I can't control, you know, audio. I barely, you know me, I break technology. I had enough trouble setting up this thing. For those of you watching right now or watching the replay, I'm on an iPad mini right now, which is sitting on top of my laptop because as we were doing the sound check, I couldn't hear Tiffany and she couldn't hear me, and I couldn't figure out how to fix it. And that's going to be another topic for another day. I'm going to have to get a more educated human being to come over here and help fix that. But
it happens. It's all good. Awful. You're fine. What was the next question? Jay said, I asked Chase this the other day, but do you think that JT had a more better effect at making shows happen a lot more frequently lately?
I don't want to give JT that much credit. I think Chase has been doing a great job since taking over the company in getting us in different venues in different towns and cities throughout New England. But I will say our director of wrestling operations, if I'm saying it correctly, I'm sure he's had his hand in that too. But I don't want to give him all the credit. Let's give some to Chase because he's much more than just a water boy. That's complete BS. Chase been my friend for close to 20 years, so I hate seeing what's going on. But I don't want to give JT too much credit. I've already given him some credit.
Don't give him a big head. He's already got a big head.
And I brought him into chaotic. What the hell's wrong with me? So.
Oh, too funny. Jason, would you interview Marco? Are you asking me that? I mean, I'll interview anybody that's like in the indies. I don't care. Like, you know, it's just me trying to find the time to get everybody on here. That's my biggest issue right now. So this is a fun question. Do you have any rituals before you go out and do your thing in the ring?
Not so much rituals at this point. It's more preparation. I spend at least an hour per show writing up index cards. I have a massive roster on an Excel spreadsheet of if I've announced your name once, it's on the roster, with the main goal being that you can plunk me in the middle of any locker room in the Northeast, and chances are I've already announced 75, 80% of your roster. Because again, I take my job way too seriously. I don't have a ritual per se. You know, I'm usually at the building nice and early, filling in any blanks for anybody I don't know. But no, there's nothing like that I eat or drink or anything like that to prepare myself. I just kind of do my own thing, make sure everything's prepared, kind of keep to myself probably about an hour before the show starts, just to make sure, you know, I know what I'm doing out there and my cues and what I'm doing and saying and singing or whatever the hell I'm doing. You never know what I'm going to do on a show. But no ritual per se. It's more the prep time. And, you know, I work a real job Monday to Friday, 9 to 5. So Today is a Wednesday as we're recording, and Wednesday night's usually my watch AEW and write up my cards after. That's my ritual, is to prepare for Wrestling Open on Thursday. And this week I've got Chaotic on Friday and WWR Plus on Sunday. So, a lot of show prep, I guess, is my only ritual to get ready for shows. Boring answer, but
no, it's okay. You never know. Sometimes we get some cool stories. Sometimes some people really don't have any ritual. So I like to ask that. So I want to actually talk about this, and then it kind of coincides with one of the fan tweets. So I wanted to talk about your weight loss journey, which is amazing. And then the fan tweet was from Quizessential Stud Muffin, said, "What's the moment you realized you needed to change your lifestyle and get into such amazing shape, and what is your secret?"
So the moment was the same moment that I've had for my 52 years on Earth. So I was always a big kid. I, over in a pile of papers over here behind me, I still have the program from my senior year of high school football, and I weighed 247 pounds, and I was like one of the biggest kids on the team, and I wasn't like big, like big and tall and strong. I was just big. And, so I mean, back then I've always told myself that you got to lose weight, you got to lose weight, you got to lose weight. And I never stuck with it. Mm-hmm. I'd do good for a week or two, fall off the wagon. Sometimes my head, whether you want to call it depression, anxiety, we all have it, always gets the better of me. And I was always a stress eater. So the pivotal point, and I can actually send you the picture, and I don't know if you splice it in, you're the technology queen, not me, but January 2nd, 2021, I did a virtual signing with Big Time Wrestling. Mm-hmm. I was helping them out. Steve Perkins, good friend of mine, runs Big Time Wrestling, do like these wrestling auctions that I've hosted like on Facebook Live and stuff, selling merchandise, but do a lot of virtual signings, sometimes live and in person. And we did one with New Jack. And I picked up New Jack at a hotel in Boston and was driving him probably about an hour away to where we were filming. And I had got a picture of myself, one of my best friends in the business, Jose Perez, was with us before the signing, and New Jack, God rest his soul. And I thought I looked good that night, wearing my Andre the Giant t-shirt, my same old Stone Cold Steve Austin baseball hat that I wear every day, and a hoodie. And I remember getting a picture of the three of us, and Jose's wife had sent it to me, and I was like, oh God, like I just didn't look healthy.
Right.
And that picture was kind of like the wake up call, because I'm my own worst critic. I think we're all our own worst critic. We're always going to find some kind of flaw in ourselves.
Right.
And I've always known that my weight was my flaw. And I always treated my weight like, it sounds awful to say, but almost like a handicap. Like, no, I can't go do that. Or no, I can't go hiking with my friends because I'm not going to be able to keep up with them. That's always been in my mind. And I was like, I don't want that anymore. And at the same time, my mom was really sick. And like I said, I'm a stress eater, and I'm rambling way too much. I apologize.
No, you're fine.
This is, it was a matter of my mom passed away almost a year ago, and she was not in the best health. So instead of being a stress eater, and then I decided to channel my energy elsewhere and said, I'm going to be the opposite of that, because when my time is up, I want to be healthier. I don't want to have the health issues and whatnot that my mom had, God rest her soul. And I also had that picture from the signing with New Jack, and I just didn't look healthy, and I was just embarrassed of myself. So those things were the pivotal point, was, wanting to lead a better, healthier lifestyle, because I had been big my whole life.
Right.
And I wanted to feel good about myself, and I really do now. So, I mean, it was just, I started on January 4th. I started that Monday. Mm-hmm. And the secret is the same thing you hear from every doctor, every TV show, whatever, is diet and exercise. I've had dozens of people ask me if I had gastro bypass surgery. Yeah. I haven't. I'm not going to lift up my shirt and show everybody what's left of my stomach. There's no scars. There's no nothing. I just did old school diet and exercise. to the point where I log everything that I eat onto the Weight Watchers app, which I pay for monthly because it conditions you how to eat properly. And I do some form of exercise every day. Walking is my go-to because I'm an old man and I don't like going to the gym, but now I do like going to the gym in the winter because it's too cold to walk.
Right.
So when I go to the gym, I do 45 to 65 minutes on the elliptical. I'm starting to do a little bit of lifting just because I got to tone up. And if not, I'm just walking every day. And those are the keys. And as of this past Saturday, I'm down just over 97 pounds.
Wow.
So yeah, the elusive goal of doing 100 shows is also the elusive goal of losing 100 pounds. But it's been a labor of love. Obviously, I love talking about my weight loss journey. A lot of people and a good number of wrestlers in the business today, some pretty big names out there, are also like on the journey and said that I'm like helping motivate them. So that just means a lot. And I get very emotional about it because I never thought I'd be somebody that would motivate somebody to, want to, lose weight or do anything or whatever. So it's honestly one of my favorite things to talk about. And, it's just, you wake up every day with a goal in mind. And, it's 40 degrees here in Massachusetts today, and I walked 3.5 miles during my lunch break,
Wow.
So yeah. So, I mean, I guess that answers everything in a very long roundabout way.
No,
so.
That's great. It was funny because Jay said, do you feel the pandemic helped play a role in helping you want to slim down?
I'd say a little bit. I'd say it was more dealing with my mom's passing that kind of motivated me. But because I spent probably the first 10 months of the pandemic not giving a shit, not doing anything about it. And everybody wants to get healthy after the first of the year. Luckily, I had that picture that I was so proud to have. And then I just looked at myself, God, I just don't look good. I don't look healthy,
right?
And I always think, like, what is that person have dinner with friends or drinks and stuff or wherever you're just out. I'm like, well, what does that person across the table, think that I look like and stuff like that. I mean, your friends are your friends, but, I always needed somebody to give me that kick in the ass, be like, yeah, it might be a good time to kind of do something for yourself. And my dad, God love him, at 80, soon to be 85 years old. He's the kind of guy that would say that, yeah, you might want to, get on a treadmill or something, because my dad's in ridiculous shape for his age. God, I took him to see Kiss over the summer because I lost my stepmother last year too. So my dad's always looking for shit to do.
Right.
And God, there's a casino right outside of Boston that's not too far from him. So I've spent more time there with him in recent months. But I took him to see Kiss, and he's in like ridiculously good shape, on his feet for like 2 hours, It's my favorite band, by the way. But yeah, so I mean, it's just been, it's just, I don't know. I'm ecstatic with, I'm obsessed, I guess, with health and fitness now. It's kind of crazy. I never thought I'd be that guy, but I am that guy now.
That's
but
awesome.
I still like to drink, so.
Gotta have a little fun, right? Still gotta have fun. Still gotta live your life.
Yeah. I haven't had fast food in over a year, but I will say I'm a much cheaper date now because what used to be like a warm up, if a couple of beers and I might be feeling good. Now it's like a couple of beers and it's like, oh my God, I love you. I love everybody. It's just like, I'm like that happy guy, it's just, it's crazy. But, yeah, you do. You have to live. You can't shut everything off. I am super strict, like with what I eat. But I treat myself when I want to.
Good.
And I've got a list of things when I hit the 100. Oh God. Yeah. Lock the doors. When I hit the 100, I've already got a list of things I want to, just enjoy, but I probably won't. I talk a good game. So
that's amazing. It's such an amazing story. Let's do a fan tweet from Ringside Rant. He goes, how many different tie and tux combinations do you have?
I'm up to 11 or 12 now. I bought some new ones. I bought one for Fet Forever last December when we had Ruby Soho, and it was like a bright red,
Mhm.
and I guess I'm colorblind because her hair is orange. And I said that to her too. I'm like, yeah, your hair is way more orange than red now. And she said, yeah, she was afraid she was going to get heat with Taz because, Taz is the only one that can have everything black and orange. Orange is his color. But I had bought like red, and I bought a couple of other ones just to kind of freshen things up. And I will give a shout out to Deluxe Tux right in Franklin, Massachusetts, where I get all my stuff, because that guy's been awesome. I've been going to him for years, and he's actually been swapping out all of my larger tuxedo things, jackets, whatever, vests, and swapping them out for me. And like, won't even like take my money because I've been giving the guy business for so many years. So that's when I bought some new ones. So to answer that question, it's definitely 11. It might be 12. I have to count.
That's awesome.
And I rotate them out the best I can. I don't like to be wearing the same color.
Right.
I keep a log, so it's how my wrestling brain works. It's like, okay, well, if I wore purple last week, well, I can't wear that for like another. Yeah, I'm sick.
No, I get it.
Good sick.
His other question was, what are your feelings on John Alba?
John Alba. I honestly, outside of the ring, I really like John Alba. I'm envious of John Alba. He's really starting to get out there in the podcasting world and starting to network. John Alba, the performer in wrestling, is so obnoxious. John Alba, the human being, he's a really good person. I don't mean to kill anything here. I don't know which side of the line I'm supposed to be towing right now. No, but John's he's a great guy, and he's a great heel when he's doing what he's doing in wrestling. And like I said, super envious because he's a guy that's, taking his announcing career, if you will, or I don't know what the word I'm looking for, journalism, sports journalist, to that next level, to the degree of that being his livelihood, where, I'm super envious because I've never been able to make wrestling like my career, but it's a hell of a side hustle.
Right.
And I do okay. I do admit, I mean, I do okay for myself, especially with the number of bookings I have, but no, I like John Alba. I mean, I do. I like John Alba, the person. I hate John Alba, the mouthpiece for Prestigious or whoever he happens to be managing up in Limitless. But so
I get it. We've had John Alba on the channel too, so definitely go check out that interview if you guys haven't watched that. That was fun. Maybe we'll bring him back this year soon, and we'll have a updated chat with him. So, but yeah,
you're interviewing everybody.
Oh yes.
I was even saying, like, what a week that I'm on. I mean, you had Chase Del Monte on Monday, you had Steve Mack yesterday, you stuck with me tonight, and then you've got Alex Colon tomorrow.
It's
fucking unbelievable. What a lineup.
It's it's been a little crazy. I mean, I know people, they've been coming into the chat, they've been telling me, or they've been messaging me, they're like, damn, Tiff stepped up her game. But I'm like, I was like, I really have been. I was like, there's so much talent, and we'll go into this since I'm going to talk about, there's so much talent out there. And there's so many people that I want to chat with. There's so many people that I just love and support. And I really want to showcase them on the channels. And I've been stepping up. Like, I went from one interview every few months with a wrestler or whatever to now, like last week I did 5 interviews. Today this week's been 4. Like, it's a lot. And I've been bringing back a lot of returns. Alex Colon's been on this channel before too, so it's like, JT, I wanted him to be back by 1st of this year. I was like, okay, this is like, certain things are just important to me that I was like, okay, this is special. It means this. I wanted to bring back a lot of people and like get an update, like what's going on, what's new. Like, I love you guys. Like, let's chat.
No, it's and I'll tell you, I mean, from an insider perspective, it's appreciated that you take the time to get the stories from everybody. I hate to say us because they're the performers, I'm the mouthpiece, but it goes a long way because we all love to tell our own story,
Right.
you know, and
Right.
you go above and beyond. And like I said, this isn't just like, oh, you know, these three guys that wrestle for this one promotion, you
Yeah.
know, recycled week after week and different stories.
Yeah.
You know, you've got some heavy hitters on there.
Yeah.
So, I mean, I mean, I'll get to work tomorrow night, but I'll be checking out the replay with Alex Colon. That's
Thank
one
you.
guy that I've never got to announce.
Oh,
Met him.
wow.
I met him once when in Atlantic City,
Mhm.
we were doing a Beyond show in the afternoon. GCW was running at night, and I got to meet him and just shake his hand, just say, hey, man, big fan. Nice to meet you. But I've never got to introduce him. I'm sure I will someday, sooner than later.
Mhm.
I hope so. But yeah, it's
It's
yeah,
crazy.
it's pretty cool. This wrestling thing.
He's a good dude. It's like, again, I had him on before. It was fun meeting him in person in some of the tournaments that he's done. I got to work
Yeah.
backstage at H2O with him. Like, he's just a
Mhm.
good dude, you know, like, nice
That's
guy,
awesome.
like, nice guy. We're gonna ask him tomorrow. We're gonna ask him about his daughter playing Fortnite again, because that was the last time he came on. He said that his daughter's young. I think she's like 4 now or so, or 5, and he was like, I wonder if the people that play Fortnite and when they get sniped that they realize that it's a 4-year-old. So we gotta talk to him about you know, we're gonna talk about that. What, Jay? She's secretly the second queen of the unit. Oh shit. Well, I took
Whoa.
the pledge, right? Like, I took the pledge.
Did you get the shirt? That's
I got the hoodie.
okay.
I don't
Oh, it's even
I don't
better.
like shirts. I don't like shirts. They're meant for guys. I'm a girl. Like, I look like a box. That's why. It's like, so don't take
stop.
offense that I don't like buying, like, you know, people's t-shirts. I'm a chick, and I like, unless it's lady tank tops or something, I buy it. So I will support with pins and hoodies and hats. I'm all for that. But yeah, I took the pledge. You know, and we keep joking around that I have the pop. I don't know if you saw that I had Dave Cole make a pop of JT Dunn for me.
Yes.
Yeah. So yeah, I guess Jay, you're right.
Yeah. You talk about another great human being in our business, Dave Cole.
Oh, I love Dave Cole. I
Yeah.
still haven't seen him wrestle live. That's
wow.
something I need to, like, obviously I've seen him, you know, like,
Yeah.
wrestle. I've had him on the podcast, you know, he dropped the bomb that he was coming back into wrestling on this podcast.
Yeah.
You know, so, and I've met him in person, you know, like, I saw him at GCW emo night. We finally got to meet in person, and then he was announced for, was it IWTV 100, and then he couldn't make it. Was it that show?
Yeah. He
Yeah.
was on the one of the one or two of the shows that we did in Tampa this year for IWTV.
Yes.
We did a Beyond throwback
Mhm.
show because he's like a Beyond
Yeah,
original
absolutely.
as well.
Yeah.
So yeah, he's a
Good-
wonderful,
good-
wonderful human.
Good guy. Like, so that's like my bucket list, that I need to see Dave Cole wrestle in person again. Like, again, I met him. I have pictures with him. Again, he's done pops for me. You know, so I have the gang going one here. The Alex Zane one, JT and Arcadia are coming into the mail hopefully this week. You know, but he's just an amazing human. So
Yeah.
if you guys don't know Dave Cole, go learn Dave Cole. Go watch my interview with him.
Yes.
So, you know, like, I'd like to talk about this. And again, like I said, I could sit here, I could talk about, you know, I've had all different types of wrestlers come onto this podcast, whether it's someone like Nick Wayne, who's 16 years old. We've had Billy Starks on. We've had a bunch of the H2O talent on. And like, I branch out to like all over like the deathmatch scene, you know, the intergender scene. You know, so is there anyone, in your opinion, that the fan base, you know, watching this interview now or watching later, like, that somebody that they should be keeping their eye out for?
Wow. Great question. Right now, you mentioned Kylon King earlier.
Mm-hmm.
I'm very high right now on he and Dustin Flash Waller, Miracle Generation. They've been brought up the right way. They're actually training with Mario Mancini, who I talked about probably about an hour or so ago.
Mm-hmm.
I'm also Waves and Curls. I guess this is my future prospect tag team edition, but Waves and Curls, I think, brings something unique to the business as well. And so damn much charisma too.
Yeah.
You know, I don't want to give the devil his due, but you know, I've been singing the praises of JT Dunn for years, and why he's not on national television is kind of a mystery to me. at this point. I know he's done some AEW recently, so I'm
Mhm.
hoping that's going to turn into something more, other than when he's giving me shit on shows. But I mean, you know, and there's a handful right there.
Yeah.
I think Ricky Smokes
Mm-hmm.
is another very talented athlete, as is Brad Cashew. And Brad has a amateur wrestling background second to none. So I think that's somebody else to keep an eye on right now. You know, that's
There's
a good
lot.
handful right there. And I
Yeah.
think there's a lot of guys too, guys and girls, that we're seeing on Thursday nights at Wrestling Open, not just for the cheap plug, but some of these newer names and faces. Ray Jazz, very talented, very arrogant, but very talented young athlete. And look at WWR Plus. Megan Bain, I think, is going to be
Yeah.
like the next big breakout star, without a doubt. And probably so many that are good friends of mine that I'm completely spacing out and blanking out on right
you're
now.
fine. You're fine. You know, you gave like a bunch of names. Like it's
Yeah,
great.
and those are the ones
So
that just top of mind right
yeah.
now. There's so
Oh,
much
there's so
talent out
much.
there,
There's so
you know.
much.
And
Yeah.
then there's guys like, and I keep bringing it back to Chaotic because it's very prevalent in my mind, but you know, Danny Miles is a guy that's been around for some time, that has wrestled in Japan, and has such a solid background and such a great ground game. I think you're interviewing him too soon.
Yep. Next week. So,
Yeah, I think he's
we're gonna-
another
we're gonna-
very talented. And then Ace Romero, who recently parted ways with Impact Wrestling, I think, you know, and he's been working out. I mean, you see it on his social media. He's been dropping weight and working out, and just, you know, I mean, we've heard him cut some promos in Limitless like I didn't know he had in him.
Yeah.
So you talk about another, you know, big man in the business, another good big man in the business. Here's a guy that can fly and do all kinds of things. You know, he kind of like a Brian Malonis, who has already, you know, spent a good amount of time in Ring of Honor. You know, probably one of the best big men in the business right now.
Yeah.
But I mean, I don't want to say he's a breakout star because he's already gotten there. I think
Yeah.
he's got a lot more in the tank and a lot more, going to have a lot more eyes on him, you know, in the very near future. So, you know, it's still a lot of good talent out there.
Yeah, there is. That's why I say keep eye on the podcast, because you just never know who's gonna come onto this podcast. Like, you never know where they're gonna go, you know, which is cool. So I mean, last week we talked to Alex Zane, and like he, you know, I mean, he's been on this podcast 3 times, and it's cool to talk to him in Japan, talk to him like, you know, like months later, and then he had a little time in WWE, so we got to, you know, talk to him a little bit about that too. So you never know where anybody's gonna go. So, but yeah, I will continue to put out you know, put over all these talents out here for you. So I'm in the works. So if I haven't got to people, don't get offended. I'm working on it. I'm one person.
She is but one person, people. Back off.
I get messages all the time. It's like I'm starting to get burnt out with all the podcasts I'm doing. So we'll see where, you know, we'll get there. I'll get what's it called? Wiz and Curls on here too, because I'm in the talks with them as well. So let's do this, because this is a fun project. It's very important to me on this podcast, on this channel, Wrestling with Positivity. I've been pushing this for a while. I'm still working on that project. That video will come out next week on Valentine's Day. If you guys have anything, tonight's my last night for it, because since I'm going up to Chaotic on Friday, so my edit day is tomorrow. So if you have any stories, hit me up. So I love asking everybody, you know, about Wrestling with Positivity, since there's so much negative. Is there anything that shoots out to you that's so important that you know, like an average fan wouldn't know about, but should be talked about, whether it was something you did for somebody, whether a fan's done for you, maybe a wrestler's done for you, or vice versa, that just comes to mind?
Yeah, actually, there is one, and it kind of hits home with me too. So during the pandemic, one of the fans from Limitless up in Maine had hit me up on social media. He works in like a group home for. I want to make sure I word this properly, because I never want to offend. But I mean, mentally challenged.
Okay.
So he works in a home with folks with special needs.
Mm-hmm.
And a young gentleman, his name's Joel, lives up in Maine, Down syndrome.
Mm-hmm.
And he wanted to talk to me because he's always wanted to be a ring announcer. And we actually set up a Zoom call during the pandemic. So this gentleman, Craig Garland was his name. He works in that home with Joel. And my God, Joel had like a whole notebook like full of questions to ask me about ring announcing, which I was just blown away. Like, here's a kid that loves Limitless Wrestling, but he wanted to talk to me. And I'll explain why this meant so much to me in a minute. But so we set up a Zoom call, a couple weeks later. Something came up, like real life. And I was like, hey, I got to just push it off like a couple of days. Like, don't worry, Joel is still coming up with questions to ask you. And I was like, just flabbergasted. And we must have talked probably an hour and a half on the Zoom call. And I made him a promise. I said, you know what? I said, I don't know when the pandemic's going to settle down. I said, but what I'm going to do is the next time Limitless Wrestling runs a show in front of people, I want you to be the guest ring announcer for one of the matches. And I did exactly that. And I want to say it was Jody Threat, the Wild Child, against Kevin Blackwood. And I'd written up the card for him and everything. I brought him up to the ring, and he was doing like the Hogan pose, and you could just tell like his family was there and everything. And it's just like, it literally like brought a tear to my eye because, again, I'll go back to the real world. So my parents divorced when I was just a baby, and my dad remarried to my stepmom, who I'd mentioned also had passed away last year. And she has a son with Down syndrome, my stepbrother, Bruno. And Bruno, my God, just love him so much. He's far outlived his life expectancy. He's what's referred to as mongoloid, his level of Down syndrome. And he wasn't supposed to live past 40, and he's now like over 60, which is unbelievable. But he's got, dementia and a bunch of other stuff. And he's in a home now. And it just means so much to me because I know my relationship with my stepbrother. For all my years, he used to come to all my shows. I mean, back when I worked for Tony Rumble, he would come to all my shows with me and insist on carrying my bag and tell everybody that I'm Rich's bodyguard. Like, it's that kind of relationship. So here's this Down syndrome kid up in Maine, Joel. What a great kid. And here we are on a Zoom call, and for an hour and a half, he just wanted to ask me questions about ring announcing. So to see that, like, and how much that meant to him, that I guess would trump anything else I've done. Cause I do interact with the fans a lot. I always say I'm like the conduit between, the promotion, the performer, whatever, and the fan. Right. And, I field a lot of questions. I just sent a video, for a fan. Her birthday's coming up at the next Limitless show. It's like actually on her birthday, and she was sick and not feeling well or something. Dad said, can you send her a video message, cheer up? Of course. Yeah, that's what I do. But I digress. But just having Joel be the guest ring announcer at the first Limitless show, I didn't even ask Randy. I told Randy after the fact. I'm like, by the way, I promised my new special needs friend that he could be a guest ring announcer on your first show back. And he was like, no, I love it. Absolutely. Aww. So I hope that is a good answer.
No, they're just perfect. It's like, again, these are the things, it's like in the feels that I always talk about. And like I keep saying, like, these are the things I yearn for. And it's like, you don't realize the stories, and you don't realize that the littlest things that they impact people. It's something that could be so small that was so impactful for you. So that's why I incorporate that into my podcast. Is very, very important to me. So thank you for sharing that. I really love that. So what's some things you like to do when you're not in the squared circle besides go to the gym?
I was gonna say the new me is just all about it's all about this stupid Fitbit and making sure that I have 10,000 steps on it every day, which I've had every day since I think June 4th. Not that I keep track of everything in my life. What do I like to do when I'm not doing wrestling? I love going out. Even at my age, I love live music. So if you put me in a bar with a good cover band, I am at my happiest. I can be by myself and honestly I just love music that much. So, I mean, music is a big passion. I'm a big Red Sox and New England Patriots fan. Sorry for anybody that's not from New England. I am not in touch with pop culture whatsoever. But everybody's like, everybody's like, oh, did you see this movie? But I don't really watch like a lot of movies. It doesn't hold my interest. I watch the Red Sox. I watch the Patriots. Family Guy is probably my favorite show. And little known secret, some people know it, like I am like the biggest nerd for the show Friends. To the point where it's like every night when I say I'm going to bed,
You're really
at like 10 or 11 o'clock and Nickelodeon's running like 5 hours of Friends every night. I'm the dork watching it and knowing all the lines off the top of my head. I'm a big mark for Friends. So yeah, so there it is. I'll be there for you. No, I love that show. I always have. What else do I do? That's about it.
Okay.
You know?
That's cool.
Yeah. Yeah. I mean, it's a simple life, but wrestling consumes, like I said, probably 98% of it. And
I feel that.
and I mean, I'd be lying if I didn't say I watch a lot of wrestling. I go down those rabbit holes on YouTube. So people binge watch like stuff on Netflix and whatever. Right. I don't know any of these shows, Yellowstone or whatever, all these things that people are talking about on social media. I have no idea what they're talking about. I'm binge watching Mid-South Wrestling. I'm up to 1985 now, which I highly recommend. I talked earlier about when wrestling was wrestling.
Yeah.
You can get Mid-South Wrestling here in New England. So it's like I've watched from like 1980, and I watch it sporadically whenever I have some downtime. But, you know, that's it. I binge watch wrestling. I love shoot interviews. I don't know. I'm just
there you go.
fan come to life. I'm a working mark, basically. I just can't get enough wrestling. I'm literally eyeballing my TV in front of me if I look distracted because AEW's on right now, and I want to see who like
I know, right? Like I want to know. So you know what? We got 2 more questions, and then we can go. We can watch our AEW.
I'm just saying. I have it on because I have an idea of who I think it's going to be.
All right, well, if you see it and we're still on this podcast, let me know because I'm curious. But
it's not a spoiler if I do that, is it? Oh no, because this will be on after. So no, it's all good.
No, we're good. Good Cop, Bad Cop says, "Let's go Red Sox."
Do it. I got my calendar right there.
There you go.
Yeah.
There you go. Yeah. So this is a fun question that I like to ask. What do you want your legacy to be?
Wow.
Made you get in the feels and the thoughts right there.
Yeah. My legacy, I want my legacy to be, I want to be remembered as a longtime fan that got to live his dream, that always put his role on the back burner. I never want to overshadow the talent. I see a lot of that out there, you know, no names or anything like that, but I think a lot of times ring announcers think they're why people buy tickets and we're not. I want to be remembered as always the all business, super serious, just want to be a ring announcer. Forget about the extracurricular stuff that I may have done recently for whatever reasons, and we'll just leave it at that. Just somebody that got to live his life's dream, never got to make a living out of it, but am more than happy and content that if I die tomorrow, not to sound morbid, I've lived my life's dream. I always wanted to be a part of professional wrestling. So they can put that on my headstone that he always wanted to be a part of pro wrestling, and he got to do it for close to 30 years. And, it's like, I it's horrible to say, but I've always said, if I died in a wrestling ring, that would be like the perfect ending to the story, because I've always loved this. Pro wrestling has always been my mistress. It's always been my go-to. It's always been in my heart. So again, I've lived my life's dream. I have no regrets, other than not being able to make a living doing it. But I've done some pretty awesome things in 28 years. A lot of things I'm super proud of. I've got some plaques over there of some Hall of Fames that I've been inducted into, which just blows my mind. I've been on TV, non-contracted, but been on TV. I got to ring announce for ECW, for 2.5 years here in New England. Not a lot of people can say that. Especially as a ring announcer. I've got to work in New York City for Ring of Honor, filling in for Bobby Cruise, at the Manhattan Center for the 8th anniversary Ring of Honor show. I got to announce when Tyler Black won the Ring of Honor title from Austin Aries. I got to fill in for Bobby Cruise that night and do that. I mean, I've just done some pretty amazing things that I'm super proud of, and that, my legacy, that's my legacy, I guess.
That's amazing. That's so amazing.
Yeah.
So I like to end off all my interviews, and then we'll talk about what's coming up.
Sure.
But I like to leave it on a positive note. And, we have a bunch of people that support this podcast that started training, or, that they started getting into the business for whatever reason. So what's a piece of advice that you would give them to try to get into the business? Maybe they want to ring announce, maybe they want to get into wrestling, maybe they want to do something else.
Yeah, I mean, I'll keep it to announcing, because I do get a lot of DMs, especially a real lot recently, of people wanting to be a ring announcer, and how do I do it? If you think that the talent pool for pro wrestlers to make it to that WWE, AEW, Impact Wrestling level, if you think that's tight, imagine how much tighter it is as a ring announcer. It's not like there's multiple roles out there for a ring announcer, for a certain promotion. What I do tell people is, support local independent wrestling, buy a ticket, go more than once, notice the surroundings. Do they have the same ring announcer every show? Do they have a commentary team? Do they have a backstage interviewer? Offer, you've got a network, you've got to support first and foremost. Don't look for it as a free way to get into shows. See way too much of that, different roles, which I won't get into now, but all of a sudden people become part of the business for various reasons, but I won't get into it. But support independent wrestling. Introduce yourself, explain what you want to do, set up some chairs, help with ring crew, postering, flyering, work your way in that way, and then become an announcer. And if you do get to become an announcer, remember what I said earlier. Nobody's buying a ticket to see me. Nobody's buying a ticket to see a ring announcer or a bell ringer or anything like that. Just remember, your role is to enhance the performance and to put over the talent, not yourself. I always tell everybody, ears open, mouth shut, and I guess that's the best advice. And like I said, people have hit me up. Hey, you ever want to ask me a question? I'm very easy to find on socials, very accessible at shows most of the time. Except like during the show. It does kind of get annoying when people want to talk to me like between matches, or like while I'm in the ring and people, but I mean, that's the best advice I can give, is offer to help out. You got to work, you got to get your foot in the door before you're going to get into the ring. So that's the best advice. But I mean, and for aspiring wrestlers, go to a school that's got some kind of credible reputation. and learn the ropes, literally and figuratively. But a lot of that stuff I said earlier, setting up the chairs, setting up the ring, helping with concessions, you got to do it all before you can get to, that next level. But I hope that answers the question.
No, it's great. It's great advice. Like I said, you never know who's listening. And there's always people that always ask questions. So I figure, why not ask everybody, some advice for them? Why not? I love it, So
yeah, absolutely.
What did you say, Jay? So you said something into the chat. He goes, remember, it's not a bad thing to take the pledge. I can't with you.
Sounds like Jay is a big unit follower.
I can tell, right? Like just a little bit. Like he's the little unit fanboy. Do you want to be the next? Well, he was talking about that he was the original water boy.
I love it.
So, but yeah, so tell everybody what's coming up, where they can find you to come support you, all that fun stuff.
Yeah, absolutely. Obviously every Thursday night you can find me in Worcester, Massachusetts, or right on your TV in your living room on IWTV for Wrestling Open every Thursday night, as I've been told by Drew Cordero until we die. So every Thursday night, 8 p.m., Wrestling Open. And if you don't have a subscription to IWTV, I'm looking at I keep my little cheat sheet over here, but if you go sign up for IWTV, use the passcode ONEFALL, that helps your old favorite ring announcer out a little bit. So that's ONEFALL. Other than that, let's see, Friday night, February 11th, Chaotic Wrestling, Lexington, Massachusetts. We're charged up. JT Dunn defending the Chaotic Wrestling heavyweight title against Ace Austin. We've got Alicia Edwards against Davienne, and so much more in Lexington on the 11th. WWR Plus Galentine's Day Massacre. Special start time of 2 p.m. in Worcester, Massachusetts, back at the White Eagle on Super Bowl Sunday for WWR Plus. I've already talked about Thursdays, but Chaotic will be back in Tewksbury, Massachusetts on Friday the 25th. Limitless Wrestling with my old dear, longtime close personal friend, Scotty Too Hottie, and of course, Dirty Dango, and so much more. Limitless Wrestling in Yarmouth, Maine on Friday night, February 26th. And that's going to round out my February. I won't go into the March dates, but I will be at Big Time Wrestling in Webster, Massachusetts on Saturday, March 12th. And if you haven't checked out Big Time Wrestling, please do. It is just that. It is Big Time Wrestling. The Briscoe brothers are going to be there against the SATs. They just announced Jay Lethal will be in Webster on the 12th. Guy I grew up watching, Bob Backlund, will be in attendance. And the winners of that Briscoe's SAT match go on later that night to face Matt and Jeff Hardy.
That shit's crazy.
Yeah. So
Yeah.
I just got contacted for that on March 12th. I got a lot of other good things going on, throughout the month of March. And I'm just so happy and blessed to do it. And don't be surprised if your boy doesn't end up on a plane sooner than later. But I have been contacted by an independent promotion outside of New England, which means I might get to live the other part of the dream, and that's to actually be flown to be on an independent show. Ink's not dry, still talking with the promotion, but I may have some more good stuff coming up soon. I'm never going to retire. I'm going to probably die in the ring, like I said. And like Chase said when we made the changes on the commentary team, he told me, you are the ring announcer for Chaotic Wrestling until you no longer want to be the ring announcer for Chaotic Wrestling. Now, that was Chase. I don't know what's going to happen with my good friend JT Dunn. Hopefully, I'll still have my role in one way, shape, or form, because Cold Fury season is upon us. More to come on that. But, yeah, that's it. Socials, you want the socials too?
Yeah, drop the socials so they can follow you.
Hell yeah, just plain old Rich Palladino on Facebook. I'm old, which means I use Facebook more than everything else. But I am on Facebook just under my real name, Rich Palladino. I'm on Twitter at Rich Palladino, because I am not original in any way, shape, or form, or creative. And I am Ringside Rich. There's where my creativity comes in. I'm Ringside Rich on Instagram. I don't know how to use Snapchat. I have maybe one thing on TikTok that I don't even know how that works. So yeah, Facebook, Twitter, Instagram, and at your favorite local wrestling show is where you're going to find me.
Awesome. So make sure you give a follow over there. Make sure you go say hi at the shows. I'll be at Chaotic Friday, so come bother me if you're going to be at the show. Unless I'm recording certain clips. Don't.
Oh yeah.
If you see I'm recording, don't be that fan.
Yeah.
Don't be that fan.
Don't be yelling my name and asking me to say your kid's birthday while I'm in the ring getting ready to introduce our match.
Yeah.
And don't bother Tiffany when she's doing her podcast.
Oh my God. I've had that where I'm recording and the person just got in the background as I'm doing an interview and I'm like,
Yeah.
and I work so hard and I laugh at everything, but like, I was like, oh man, I was like, this is awkward. Like,
Yeah.
And then I think what made it worse was that, I was interviewing a wrestler and, I walked away because I really thought that they wanted to meet the wrestler, and I walked away, and then the guy was like, he's like, okay, he goes, I'll take a photo. He's like, no, he's like, oh, you want Tiffany? He was like,
Hell yeah.
So then the wrestler, I felt so bad. And the wrestler, I'm not gonna say who it was or whatever like that. I'm not gonna say who it was. But I just felt so bad, and like, the wrestler messaged me the next day. He goes, but I heard him say, I get it. I want to take a photo with Tiffany too. He was like,
that's awesome.
And he's like, I'm a wrestler. He's like, oh yeah. And then he walked away to come to me. Don't be that fan.
Hey. We got to make a buck or two too. I know you got merch out there, and if you told this guy that I'd be selling T-shirts and pins and 8x10s, I'd say you're out of your mind.
Yeah.
But you know what?
I get it.
We're all a piece of that big puzzle that makes up pro wrestling. So don't sell yourself short at all. And I'm going to put one more plug out there, only because the Inner Circle is on my TV right now having their summit, and I just remembered that after the big time show on March 12th, Sunday, March 13th, Beyond Wrestling returns to Somerville, Massachusetts, and part of the Inner Circle will be there. The Funky Monkey, Angel Ortiz, one half of Proud and Powerful there with Santana. Ortiz will be competing in Somerville. So I just wanted to throw that out there.
That's
I think the show's called Monkey Business or something, because he is the Funky Monkey.
He is Monkey. I mean, that's just how it is. The New Yorker knows, I gotta go up there and start screaming, "Yer!" That's what I gotta do. The New Yorker knows. But yeah, so Rich, it's been a pleasure chatting with you on the channel. I can't thank you enough for coming here and chatting, and I'm sure I can have you come back, but there's so much stuff that we could talk about that we didn't even hit a dent in everything. So, but that's why I like doing returning interviews. So, stay tuned for that possibility.
Who knows? Maybe my laptop will work by then. Like a bigger screen like this little tiny screen over here. I'm like just trying to stare at this camera and try and be like as
but yeah,
I've always said I'm apparently not TV ready with the major promotions that have turned me down in the past year. But I'm IWTV ready, so I'm working the camera right now.
There you go.
I really appreciate you having me on. It's always good to tell my story.
Yes.
And,
it's great.
There's a lot to it.
Thank you. And guys, thank you for coming in, chatting with us, and thanks to the people that are listening to this after it's being live. I really appreciate all you guys. So, so like I said, a lot of stuff coming on the channel within the next week. I mean, again, tomorrow Alex Cologne is coming in. I'll be at Chaotic. I'll be doing backstage stuff at Chaotic. I'll be going Titan. I'll be doing backstage stuff at Titan. So you're gonna see a lot of videos coming up. And then I got Danny Miles is coming on next week, and oh my goodness, and then the Wrestling with Positivity. So hit that bell button on YouTube so you can follow everything and know when I'm live. So. But with that being said, guys, I love you so much. You know the drill. Stay safe, support independent wrestling, and I'll talk to you guys soon. Have a good night.